Hi guys, Bob here, and in this video we're carrying on the sketch that we did last week, and we're moving into colouring the sketch. So let's get this looked at started. So initially I am going to have a new layer as I've shown you here, and I put a pink colour over all of the image. This is to allow us to do watercolour and prevent it going out the lines. Now I'm adding a hue and saturation filter, and I'm applying that to make it white as opposed to the pink colour. I could have started with white, probably should have, but I decided to go with the pink colour. This was something I seen in somebody else's video and I thought I'd try out this technique. So we've applied the clipping mask, and then that will contain the oil, or the watercolour, to within the boundaries of our clipping mask, which is the white area on layer 3. I had made a few errors there, so I have blended them out. And now I'm just going to move my initial sketch above all the other layers, above the layer that I'm working on, to add the colour, just to keep myself right on what I'm trying to achieve with this drawing. You can turn it off and on and you can see the results of that. So I added in the hair colour there. Again, this is the nice thing, it's not those bold strokes. So I'll just pause the video here, and in this case I had put a little bit of watercolour onto the page, and what you notice is it picks up the paint underneath and starts to show the whiteness of the canvas. So to prevent that, we can use the re-wet function and bring that down a little bit. Again, play about with these settings. I've got plenty of videos on my channel here that take you through those settings and the different results you get from them. So adding a wee bit of rosiness to the cheeks, again looking at my reference, which I'll put up in the corner, and keeping our finger near the fast dry key, which is the letter F, key F on your keyboard. That'll stop the watercolour blowing out. To slow that down, you can use the diffusion speed as well. So adding a wee bit of rosiness and just going round again, just looking at my reference, seeing what I want to apply. I am taking some colour picking from the reference that I'm using to help me with this and to give myself an idea of what colours I'm going to use. And I think it works pretty well. So again, just adding in lights in the dark areas of the hair, and using the eraser as well where I'm not happy with certain things. And that's a great thing about digital art, is you don't need to worry about not making a mistake, I should say. So you can go back over things, you can make new layers, you can duplicate layers, you can delete things. It makes things a whole lot less stressful, and you can just enjoy painting. So just, as I say, is adding in darks and lights, and I'm going to show you down in the reference what I'm doing with the dark and light areas. I'll put a wee thing in there to show you how to do that, or what I'm looking at with my eyes. Again, the light areas of the reference as opposed to the darker areas. At this point I'd noticed I'd made a wee mistake on my sketching layer, or it was causing me a problem, so I decided to kind of blend that out and get rid of it so that it wasn't causing me problems. Multiple layers is not something I use very often because I find myself getting frustrated with them, but in this case I felt using the multiple layers would help with the watercolour and keeping it under control. You can even specify other clipping masks and more layers with clipping masks just for the eyes or for each part. At this point I'm just darkening the eyes. If you look at any kind of reference or the reference I'm using, you will notice that the eyes are quite dark. Working on the lip area, and I'm just experimenting. This was a big experiment for me. It was just what do I see? Now if you have made a mistake, like I said, you can start going over it and fixing it. We're lucky that way. And have your hand ready on the F key, because you'll end up with the watercolour flying away from you, which I think I do a few times in this example. Look at your reference, look at how lips are formed. There you go, see the big blowout of the watercolour. So you need to be ready to hit that F key, and if you are still struggling with it, get onto that diffusion speed and lower it. So the blend tool within the watercolour arena here. That tool is really helpful for trying to get the transition of colours from one to the other. I use it quite a lot. It could be classed as maybe cheating, I guess, because in watercolour you don't, but then again we've not got that water on the end of the brush that we can then try and blend the colours, so I don't really see it being much different from that. Obviously you don't have the undo key when you're doing this in real life. So I wanted to just kind of slow down the process when I could, and then just try and let you have a chance to see what I was doing. And even mistakes, like there was a mistake there with the water and right over the eye, just go with the flow and try to just enjoy painting and drawing and keeping going and seeing where you go right and where you go wrong. It's just a process. One thing I would suggest is I've made my eyes quite dark here. Be careful of using really dark black to outline eyes, because it's how you end up with a unrealistic looking drawing. You really want to be looking, because black doesn't really exist in normal drawings. It tends to be a slightly lighter colour that's used, so just be very wary of that. I've used it quite heavy here on the sketch just to keep me guided on my shape that I'm trying to achieve, and later on what I'll do is I'll make another layer and then try and darken down areas and try and lighten areas. So just working through my reference, looking at what I want to do. Again, watch for that black. Yeah, I try to subtle that a wee bit later in the process. Eyes, you're looking at all the lines around the eyes, you're looking at how eyes are constructed. Now there's a ridge below the eye. You've got a ridge on the eyelash, on the eyelid that you need to be aware of, and just look for how light is hitting off your references features. The hair is coming across the head, so there will be a darker spot where the hair is causing shadow onto the forehead, and that's what I'm working on at this moment in time. You will notice I've moved over to using the pencil. The pencil is a great tool again for just getting those features once you've got the kind of watercolour laid down. You can continue using watercolour, or for a wee bit more control, which in my case I wanted, I moved on to more of the pencil usage, which does give your drawing a slightly different look from using the pure watercolour simulation within Rebelle 6 or Rebelle 7, as this is. Rebelle 8 is coming out soon, which I did say I will be talking about. They did say the end of July, still got a few weeks left. I moved on to the background here. Again, a jump cut, didn't see the point in showing you me filling in all the background colour. And I wanted to point out the shift tool here, where you can hold down the shift key and that gives you your ruler. And you can get your ruler to make the structures of your background, as you can see here. And just look for the lights, look for those light parts in the eyes. Again, I'll try and point out some of these in my reference below just by highlighting them on that reference. But I was just trying to figure out the shapes that you're trying to see. And if you don't want your drawing to appear flat, like a 2D flat, you want to get the real kind of contrast between darks and lights. That's why like a really black and white photos tend to work better, because they give you the depth. Whereas my drawing here is a bit flat just due to some of the colours that I'm using, which is normal for watercolour from my experience. I wanted to change the canvas size here because my reference that I had wasn't that long, and I didn't want to kind of make up things in my brain and try and find other references. I just wanted to get this drawing done partly for this tutorial, but I was enjoying doing it just to the reference, certainly to the girl and the reference I've got, and just the background is made up completely. That's not from any reference, that's just from my brain. So just outlining things, again, trying to look at clothes. Now, if you watch clothes, they tend to have shadows that point to one point on them at particular points of the fabric. So look for that at point where the folds in the clothes head towards the kind of point of where the material's basically been stitched. You'll find that the clothes tend to fly towards that, and that'll help you with your kind of clothing look. Hair, I always struggle with hair. I went over the hair in this number of times, trying to get the big sections, like I've mentioned before, get the big sections of the hair. But I was feeling it was a bit scratchy, a bit hay hair, as I would call it. And so just be aware of that. Try different things. I will try and do a video on hair at some point, and I'll need to improve on that myself. Again, looking at the folds of the clothes, try and look for the dark areas where the arm is causing shadow on the material. So I wanted to check my coloured in drawing was matching the reference in the guides that I showed you in the first video, and I realised that it wasn't the case, and I had to resolve that by using the guides again. Now here's a bit of a tip and a warning. Highlights can really make a drawing pop, but I actually went back and dulled these highlights down because I felt that they made it disconnected from the rest of the drawing. The highlights were a bit too much, so I dulled them a lot later on in the process. Again, you can add highlights to hair where the sun is going to hit the strands of the hair, and that can really help your drawings. But again, you'll see that I dull some of that down later in the drawing because I was wanting a particularly flat look to this painting. Again, using the ruler there just to cut some of the hair and trying to again understand anatomy, something I'm learning about. Again, I'm trying to teach you the things I know. Also, you must understand that some people just, like if you just look at some other artists, they will just stick to one particular thing, drawing portraits, for example, or drawing art, like architecture or landscapes. That's kind of a thing you've got to kind of try and push yourself. And for me, I keep trying to push myself to add a wee bit more of the anatomy. So here I'm using the kind of spray paint, the spray can. I find that quite good for getting a blend across, especially when you change it to the blending tool. Trying to look at my arm anatomy and where the muscles could be seen within the photograph that I had. And again, just working on different parts of the drawing. That's the thing, I don't usually stick to like one elbow or one shoulder. So here is where I kind of dull down. I felt it was just too much. I felt the reflection was too much and I wanted it to be a bit more flat. You could argue that it looks better the other way. I'll let you decide and perhaps let me know in the comments. I don't get many comments. I do appreciate comments and it's good to hear what people's thoughts are. If you can comment, please leave me a comment, leave us a like and all that good stuff. But comments especially. I'm not worried about the likes and the subscribes, but to comment and get some feedback on usefulness. Around the lip area, you'll need to look for the shadows of where the folds and how your lips are like joined to the rest of your face. There is these small folds that occur, and this is what I'm shadowing in here again underneath your lips. If you've got particularly protruding lips, you will have a shadow under your lips depending on the light source, and the same for the chin. And this is what makes up the features. You just need to keep looking at that reference and looking. Again, the shadow of the nose, and then the lightness of the part above the lips. So just refining and refining and refining. You'll notice it's probably quite different now from what it was when I finished my sketch. And I've went over things and redone things, and that's just part of the journey. It's part of the enjoyment. It's just look for those little minute shadows that just make a wee feature pop. Again, it doesn't look like I'm doing much here. Just reshaping the nose slightly. Again, I made a mistake there, but then you can just go over that and blend it out. But you're trying to shape the nose to see where the light hits the edges of the nose, where the bottom part of the nose is in shadow, where the nostrils kind of disappear into darkness. And all of these little tiny things make such a big difference quite a lot of the time. So just be aware of that. If your drawing isn't looking right, try something, look for why it's not quite right. I think this is where I start working on the hair a bit more, just looking at getting bigger shapes in there. I was trying to get rid of the strandedness, the kind of hay at the bottom near her chest, getting rid of that somehow because it just didn't look right to me. It looked too A-like, for want of a better word. So working from the top and then just going down and looking for the shadows again, just where the armpits come in and the folds in the skin that make that armpit look the way it does. Again, just look for that on your reference, if that's the reference you've got. I was looking at some curly hair in this instance, and I just wanted to show you the process and talk you through, because there's only so many tools you use during a drawing. Now, you might be one of these people who use all the tools. I don't tend to do that. I tend to kind of stick to, say, 3 or 4 tools, and again, when I'm saying that, I'm on oils, or the unoil oils, the synthetic oils, I think it is. This was just to, again, get some of the bold shapes into the hair. So those oils helped me do that. But I do try and stick to just kind of 1 or 2 brushes. I don't try and go all out with layers and just try to feel the painting. I was listening to music when I do most of these paintings. Usually my music's up quite loud and I just lose myself into the drawing. And just love it. I just enjoy it. It's like bringing those old game covers to life. Here I'm looking to try and bring some darkness so that you feel like there's some depth to the hair. And I felt that there was a loss of that on the rest of the body. I was trying to darken down some of the areas, the cloth folds, to try and bring some of that depth to the body. It wasn't as flat as the head seemed slightly too different. And that's kind of me at the end. We went from this sketch in the last video to this fully painted portrait, which I'm happy with. Hopefully you've learned something from this. Hopefully I've not went over things too much. Watch it again. I did try to just keep all the little changes I made in and jump forward where I needed to jump. So thank you very much for watching, and Wee Bob is out.